On the first day of my internship, there was a team building event at a hot spring villa. After getting drunk, I entered my boss's room by mistake. Afterwards, taking advantage of the fact that he hadn't woken up in the middle of the night, I scrammed in a panic and ran away in the dark. As a result, the next day, my boss got off the Maybach and boarded the return bus I was on. Under the silent gazes of many colleagues, he placed the paper bag containing my personal belongings on the empty seat next to me. His voice was cool and noble. "You left your things behind last night." I was extremely lucky. On the first day of my internship, I caught up with the company's team building event at a hot spring villa. This was my first time participating in a company team building event. There was also a seafood buffet restaurant at the villa. After soaking in the hot spring, I was so excited that I started overeating and accidentally had a few more drinks. When I returned to my room, my feet felt. My mind was also dizzy. I pushed open the door that wasn't locked properly and rolled onto the bed. In a daze, I felt a hot source of heat lying beside me, while sighing that my colleague was so kind and had left the door open for me. At the same time, subconsciously, I bent my knee to resist the heat source and tried to push it away. After all, it was so hot and so close. It was really too hot. But unexpectedly, the other person didn't move at all. Instead, he grabbed my restless ankle. I was jolted awake by the hot and humid temperature of his palm. I became a bit more awake. Something was wrong. For our team building event, we were assigned standard rooms, with 2 single beds, not a double bed. Why was there someone on my bed? But before I could think about it carefully, that person pulled me towards him. He was so heavy. His short hair was soft. His body scent was also nice. It was a cool woody fragrance, lingering around my nose. It was actually like the fragrance of wine, making people dizzy and unable to escape. My mind was muddled. I used the little willpower I had left to stay awake and resisted his chest. "Who are you?" But before I could finish speaking, he leaned down and kissed me. When I woke up again, it was already 4 o'clock in the morning. It was about to dawn. I was also sober from the alcohol. Lying on the bed, by the dim and ambiguous bedside nightlight, I looked at the extremely handsome face still in sleep beside my pillow. My heart beat violently. It's over. It's over. I might as well die. I had searched this face on Badoo when I joined the company. He is Leo from our company. My boss's boss. The big boss. And this big bed I'm lying on and this luxurious room mine in are obviously not my room. I actually entered the wrong room and slept with the big boss. I hit my head and wanted to cry but had no tears. They say that wine and beauty can mislead people. Today I've seen it. If the big boss knew that it was me, a rookie in the workplace, who slept with him, he would definitely think that I've read too many novels and am delusional out of falling in love with me. Or he would think that I have improper intentions, and am trying to take shortcuts by currying favor. Anyway, by then, my life will be over, and I won't be able to become a regular employee. But this job was obtained by me after going through many difficulties and challenges. I spent a lot of effort. It has a high salary and good benefits. I can't bear to give it up. Glancing at the man beside me who was still frowning slightly in his sleep, I gritted my teeth and decided to secretly run away. It was dark before. He didn't seem to be very awake either. He probably didn't see my face. As long as I run fast, no one will know it was me who did it. I peeked from the corner of my eye, constantly paying attention to the big boss's movements. Then I stretched my body and slid off the bed. After picking up my clothes on the ground and putting them on in a hurry, I carried my shoes and tiptoed quietly to the entrance. It wasn't until I successfully slipped out of the room that I leaned against the corner in exhaustion and breathed a sigh of relief. I didn't dare to go back to the room assigned to me by the company either, fearing that my roommate would notice something. I could only go downstairs with weak steps and ask the front desk to open hourly room. Then with the little sanity I had left, I ordered takeout and asked for medicine to be delivered. After taking the medicine, I walked into the bathroom. But when I wanted to take off my clothes and take a bath, I found that inside my coat, I was wearing a white shirt that didn't fit very well. The material and cut were first class, at least worth 5 figures. But at a glance, it was a man's shirt. It was loose on me and long enough to cover my thighs. There was still the familiar cool woody fragrance remaining on it. I was in a hurry to run away before. When I picked up my clothes, I put them on randomly in the dark. After that, I was absent-minded all the time, and didn't notice it. I actually took the big boss's shirt, and I wasn't wearing underwear inside. When I realized this, I felt that the soft fabric clinging to my body suddenly became rough and made my skin burn and tingle. My face instantly flushed red and I quickly took it off in a fluster. Subconsciously, I wanted to throw it on the ground and get rid of it far away. But then my poor mentality kicked in. I was afraid that the clothes were too expensive and it would be a waste. In the end, I could only prop it up with a hanger with trembling hands and hang it behind the door. Looking at the already wrinkled shirt, my mood became even heavier. I calculated the possibility of quietly returning the shirt after washing it. The result was 0. I sighed and looked at myself without clothes in the mirror. If it were normal times, I could still admire myself in the mirror, praise my curvaceous and fair-skinned figure. But now my head is buzzing. It's more of a sense of helplessness and shame. The cheeks that had just cooled down suddenly heated up again. But my hands have become icy cold. My whole body is numb. I still feel like dying. I let out a wail and sat on the toilet, forcing myself to calm down. I kept praying in my heart that I mustn't be discovered. I really don't want to die of embarrassment. Nor do I want to be fired. It wasn't until it was completely dawn that I dazedly turned on the hot water and washed myself clean. At dawn, it's time to return to the company. I got on the bus listlessly. A kind colleague even brought me buns from the restaurant. "Why didn't you come back last night?" "Thank you." I took the bun, feeling guilty like a thief. I was drunk, afraid of making a scene and disturbing you. So I opened the hourly room. Fortunately, she didn't take it seriously. She stood up and was about to get off. "Hold my seat for me. I'll go to the restroom first." I nodded and shifted my gaze out of the window, starting to eat the bun. The bun is very delicious. I feel that my wandering soul has returned a bit. However, before I had taken to bites, I saw a luxury car slowly approaching, and then stopping next to the bus. I can't tell what kind of car it is, but just looking at the exterior, I know it's extremely expensive. It's a car that I can't afford in my entire life. "Look, that one seems to be a big Maybach," a colleague in the car exclaimed. The familiar words made my heart skip a beat. Suddenly, the bun in my hand didn't seem appealing anymore. Before I could even withdraw my gaze, the rear door of the Maybach was opened, and a pair of long legs stepped down. Looking up along the legs, there is a slender waist and broad shoulders. Before I could see that stunning face, my face flushed. Wow, why am I so vulgar? I gave myself to slaps in my heart. I quickly shook my head to get rid of the messy thoughts. When I came to my senses, I always felt that the person outside the car seemed to have glanced in this direction through the window. As a coward like me, I didn't dare to look closely. I withdrew my gaze and wished I could bury myself in the bun filling. But the colleagues in the car kept reporting in real time. The big boss is coming around. Is he going to take our bus? Is the god coming down to earth? I don't know. Could it be that he wants to experience the life of us ordinary workers? As the sound of leather shoes landing on the bus step rang out, the discussions in the car instantly disappeared. Everyone fell silent. Only faint gazes were secretly focused on the person who had arrived. I pulled up the hood of my clothes and buried my head, not daring to look. But from the corner of my eye, I could still see the big boss's long legs slowly approaching, and then stopped next to me. He stood there silently. For a long time, I felt guilty and afraid. I hated that I didn't go to the restroom with my colleague. But I knew that it would be impolite if I didn't look up soon. So I looked up at the big boss timidly. He was holding a paper bag. In his clear pupils, my figure was reflected. I stammered, "Achelo, boss." He raised his hand and put the paper bag, which couldn't tell what was inside, on the empty seat next to me. The two elegant and delicate carrying straps on the craft paper bag set off his fingers as cold, white, long and with distinct knuckles. When he spoke, his voice was also noble and cold. He said, "You left something at my place last night." My whole body is numb. At the moment he spoke, I understood. All that midnight escape and being a cowardly wimp were all self-deception and in vain. In fact, the big boss already knew that I took advantage of him. I was so unskilled even in committing the crime. I could even leave evidence at the scene. I didn't dare to look up at the big boss's expression, or what the colleagues around were reacting. I just numbly dragged the paper bag into my arms. Regardless of what was inside, I just answered in a mumble, "Thank you." "Don't you open it and check to confirm?" The big boss above me spoke again. As a coward like me, of course, I do whatever the boss says. So I obediently opened the paper bag. But when I looked down, almost instinctively, I quickly closed the bag. My face and neck started to burn again. I didn't expect it to be my underwear. Who would have thought that the big boss would come to find me in public with my underwear and ask me to confirm it on the spot? But this terrible capitalist insisted on my confirmation. I nodded randomly. "I've confirmed. It's my thing. Nothing is missing." Not only is nothing missing, but there's more. Under the one I left last night, there's a new one. But I didn't dare to say anything more. Do I still have to take out the new one in front of so many colleagues and say that this one isn't mine? Leo nodded in satisfaction, and then casually lifted his eyes, looking around and glancing at the colleagues, who were secretly watching. Just now, his words contained so much information. It was hard not to let one's imagination run wild. So even though everyone was afraid of Leo, the exchange of glances was already full of undercurrents. They were all guessing what kind of relationship I had with Leo for me to leave something in his place at night. I felt that my path in the company had come to an end. Even if I wasn't fired, the gossip of everyone could drown me. Pressing my dry lips and clenching my cold fingers, I looked at Leo's face and began to think about the feasibility of getting lenient treatment if I confessed on the spot. But unexpectedly, Leo suddenly tilted his head and glanced at Assistant Shu, who had followed him. He truly deserves to be Leo's capable assistant. Although Leo didn't say anything, Assistant Shu could understand his thoughts in an instant. He stepped forward with a smile. "I also have to thank you for helping me bring the doctor upstairs last night to see President Shen." At first, I didn't catch what he meant. It wasn't until I made eye contact with Assistant Shu that I realized he was making an excuse to help me out. I stammered two sounds and then swallowed. I clumsily climbed up the pole. Even with a strong survival instinct, I gently flattered, "It should be. It should be. As a member of Chengzu Group, it is my honor to share the burden for the boss. But this should have been my job." Assistant Shu seemed serious. His tone was like chatting with me about daily life. President Shen was supposed to speak at the summit last night, but his stomach problem flared up, causing a high fever and making him confused. I quickly contacted a doctor. President Shen is extremely responsible. He ordered me to attend the summit on time and speak on his behalf. I couldn't take care of both sides. Fortunately, I met you on the way, and you lead the doctor for me. This summit in Wenzhou was indeed held at the conference center near the hot spring villa. Leo was attending the summit and having a team-building event at the same time. Unexpectedly, he had a stomach problem in the middle and was so feverish that he was confused. No wonder last night, even without drinking, he was as confused as I was when drunk. It turns out that he was really not very clear-headed. Sick. I pinched myself to stop my thoughts. Then I heard Assistant Chu jokingly throw the topic back to Leo. President Shenhan. "Stella is largely responsible for your recovery. I should give her half of my bonus this month. Unexpectedly. Leo nodded. Well, I will notify the personnel department. Then, he took one last look at me and left. Let's go. Assistant Chu said goodbye to me with a smile and then followed. Watching the two get off the bus, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. The silent colleagues instantly became noisy. Oh, President Shen's handsome face. In ancient times, he would have been pelted to death by little girls with fruits and handkerchiefs. Other wealthy presidents all have a rich and beautiful fiancée. Why doesn't he have one? And there haven't been any scandals. Do you think President Shen doesn't like women? It shouldn't be. My radar didn't detect anything. His interaction with Assistant Chu is also very straight. He should just be keeping himself clean. Speaking of which, when he was looking for Stella just now, it scared me. Everyone gathered around me and started gossiping. Stella is also the only woman who appears around President Shen not for work-related interactions. Oh, really envy. Stella, you are so lucky. You can get a bonus just after you arrived. You have to treat us when you get it. Stella, did President Shen's beauty increase or decrease when he was sick? Did you see his abdominal muscles? If so, how many? Stella, are you a relative of President Shenhan? I responded one by one. Definitely will treat. Haven't seen. Really not. But for the last point, they didn't quite believe it. The reason is that it is said that Leo's mother's surname is Z. And my name is Stella. No matter how you look at it, it seems like I am a member of the royal family. After explaining several times, I couldn't argue anymore. Well, whatever. Being a member of the royal family sounds better than having the reputation of climbing into his bed when he is sick. After returning to the company, I was on interwalks for 2 more days. Even those 2 pieces of new and old underwear, I locked them in the closet and buried them. I don't want to see them again. Then I found that Leo really didn't intend to trouble me. I felt that I was okay again and continued to live a life of enjoying everything I eat. But extreme joy begets sorrow. Early this morning, I was buried in eating breakfast at my workstation. A colleague at the door called me and said someone from the president's office on the top floor was looking for me. The bun in my hand was no longer appealing again. But I still finished the last bite. Then I wiped my mouth with a tissue and went to the door. There stood a beautiful older sister. During these few days of recognizing people, I had seen her work photo. She is one of Leo's secretaries. Graduated from an Ivy League school and extremely excellent. When she saw me, her eyes lit up. She waved at me and was very familiar. Quickly, Stella, little beauty, come up to the top floor with me. I let her take my hand. I was a bit nervous. Secretary Zhu. She is Leo's secretary. What else could she be looking for me for? Following her nervously. All the way, various ways of being punished kept popping up in my mind. Until we reached the door of the president's office. She knocked on the door. After getting a response from inside, she winked at me, pushed me in, and then closed the door very considerately and professionally. I was so unexpectedly standing in the president's office, looking at Leo who was buried in handling documents not far away. I nervously swallowed. Is he going to settle scores after autumn? But a minute passed. 2 minutes. He didn't look up. My uneasy mood gradually calmed down. Even with my lustful heart still alive, I began to stare at the big beauty's hand in a daze. As he bent over to sign, his sleeve slightly pulled up, revealing the low-key yet exquisite watch on his left wrist. His right hand held an antique and elegant fountain pen. Such cold machinery made his hand look even more neat and powerful. Anyway, it was a beautiful strength that was no less than the beauty of his face. I don't know if my gaze was too bold. The hand holding the pen paused. Immediately after, he suddenly looked up and met my gaze. Feeling guilty like a thief. Without thinking, I quickly looked away. After realizing what I had done, I turned my head back again. Being quite obsequious, boss. What can I do for you? The boss put down his pen, stood up and walked towards me slowly. But what he said was straightforward. "Did you take my shirt by mistake?" I was choked for a moment, and didn't want to admit it. How could I wear the boss's shirt? But I can't find it today. The last time I wore it was that night at the hot spring villa. He stood in front of me, very close. When looking down at me, his gaze was deep. We silently stared at each other. Some things don't need to be made explicit. I quickly gave in and admitted my mistake in an instant. "Sorry. I wore the wrong shirt that night. The shirt was soiled and sent for washing. I haven't picked it up yet. I will definitely bring it to you tomorrow." The boss nodded in satisfaction. Then, he suddenly spoke again and said, "It was my first time." The topic change was too sudden. I didn't react in time and subconsciously looked up at him. But Leo had already made a final decision, "So you have to be responsible for me." I didn't know how to be responsible. In the end, it turned into me going to his house after work every day to cook dinner for him and take care of his fragile stomach. Actually, I think I am the same as him. So canceling each other out. Neither of us owes the other. But I took away his expensive shirt and haven't returned it yet. I feel a bit in the wrong. So, I chose to continue to endure. "Okay." The boss returned to his desk and sat down, while continuing to handle documents. He seemed casual and said, 1,000 yuan per day. Paid on the same day. The bonus at the end of the month will be doubled. Me. I was instantly energized. I felt that even my hair had spirit. When the personnel department was chatting with me and making veiled inquiries and gossiping before, they revealed to me that the bonuses of Changzhou Group often start from 5 figures. If it's for a project team, then they really don't treat money as money. Although I'm not on a project team, 5 figures is also a huge amount for someone who just graduated like me. Moreover, 1,000 yuan per day. Even if I only cook for 10 days a month, I can earn over 10,000 yuan a month. Perhaps it was because the contrast between my big-toothed grin and my previous mournful look was too stark. The boss chuckled. Then, he took out 2 cards from the drawer and pushed them to the front of the desk. "Take the cards. One is a bank card. The password is. You can use it to buy groceries or anything you need. You can swipe it freely. The other one is the elevator card for my house. I'll send you the address later. After you get off work, go there first. The password for the front door is the same as the password for the bank card." My gaze was again attracted by his long and powerful fingers. I couldn't help staring at them for a few more seconds. This is really not my fault. His fingers resting on the 2 black cards with golden patterns and white characters are actually not delicate. They are long, well-proportioned, cold and powerful. Belonging to a man. One can imagine his calm control when using these hands to turn the tide in the business world. But his desk is brownish-black. Deep and cold. His hands are the exact opposite. White. And his nails have a healthy pink color. There is a great sense of contrast in visual impact. For someone like me who is a hand fetishist, it's really hard to resist. Until there was a sound. I came back to my senses from my daze. Leo tapped the desk with his knuckles and asked me, "Do you remember clearly?" Yes. 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 In such a serious place as the office. Staring at someone's hand in a daze and not listening carefully to what they say. I'm really damned. Ashamed. I took the 2 cards and nodded repeatedly while repeating, 20,416. The password for the bank card and the front door is the same. However, after I thought about those password numbers for a while, I was extremely surprised. Hey. What a coincidence. It's my birthday. Then boss. You can rest assured. I will definitely not forget this. As soon as I finished speaking, I heard the boss let out a light snort from his nose, seeming to have an extremely faint helpless smile. I looked at him strangely, but he put on a serious face and reached out to me. "Give me your phone." I was a bit nervous, but still obediently took it out and unlocked it. But I didn't give it to him immediately. Instead, I quickly opened the browser and cleared the browsing history with one click. Then I opened WeChat and changed some conversations and groups to not show chats. Then, I locked the photo album and handed it over obediently. For my actions, the boss just raised his eyebrows but didn't say anything. After he took it, he pressed a few keys and typed a few words. Then I heard two beeps from his phone on the desk. When he returned it to me, the boss said, "Save my number in WeChat." Oh. I opened WeChat and saw a new friend on the page. The profile picture was a proud German Shepherd. The dog looked familiar, very much like a stray puppy I met when I was a child. But in the eyes of someone like me, who can't recognize dogs well, dogs of the same breed all look similar, which is normal. I secretly changed the boss's note to creditor. Finally, there was nothing else to do, so I went back to my own office. Before leaving, I was pulled by Secretary Zhu with a gossipy face and added her and Assistant Zhu as friends. Great. 3 big shots were added to my contact list in one day. At the end of work, I was held up by work. The supervisor asked several of us newcomers to write a product analysis report and submit it tomorrow. I dawdled in the office for a while but still decided to cook for the boss first, and then go home and work overtime to write the report. If I don't turn the boss's 1,000 yuan today, then some of my beautiful qualities, such as my appearance, my figure, my social etiquette, and even my soul, will all be ruined. Pack my laptop and get off work. According to the home address the boss sent me on my phone, I went to a nearby supermarket and picked what I liked. I also asked someone to help deliver it to his door. The boss said that he wasn't picky. Buy what I like. Although in the end it's not for me to eat. But the pleasure of stuffing all the things I like into the shopping cart without spending my own money is really great. Of course, as soon as I entered the boss's house, all that was left was envy. This house should have been bought for convenience in going to work. It's a large flat on the same floor very close to the company. I don't know how many square meters it is. The decoration is very in line with the boss's persona. It's a cold style in black and white. The living room has a whole floor-to-ceiling window, and there is also a spacious and open large balcony on the side with excellent lighting. Whether standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window or on the balcony, you can see the building of Changzhou Group and the Chun River that runs through the entire Chuncheng. I stood and experienced the life of the rich for 2 seconds, and then obediently went to the kitchen to cook. Alas, the gap between people is really big. No, I have to work hard to earn the capitalist's money. I can't afford such a large flat on the same floor. But I can still dream of an ordinary 3-bedroom apartment. After only a short while in the kitchen, there was the sound of the door opening and closing at the entrance. I poked my head out and saw, "Boss, you're back." I didn't expect that the boss who is always busy would come back so early. Yes. He glanced at me and took off his suit jacket. Instead of going to the living room to rest, he walked straight towards me. "Is there anything I can do to help? A kitchen is not small, but it's not big enough for 2 people." I was a bit panicked. "Boss, maybe you should go and rest in the living room." He stood at the door and gracefully rolled up his sleeves. "With 2 people, it'll be faster." After saying that, he added another sentence. "I'm hungry." The boss's fragile stomach can't be hungry. I immediately handed him a garlic. "Then boss, you can help peel the garlic first." With 2 people, it was indeed faster. It didn't take long to make 3 dishes and 1 soup. It made me swallow saliva. Then, when I wanted to leave politely, the boss asked me to eat together. As soon as I hesitated for a moment, he frowned slightly and his tone was melancholy. "It's been a long time since I had a meal with someone. It's lonely at the top. Rich, but so miserable." After self-medicating with this thought, and feeling a bit more balanced, looking at the dishes on the table that were all my favorites, I chose to be obsequious and agreed. "Then, thank you, boss." That night, I ate 3 big bowls. I also actively put the empty dishes and bowls into the dishwasher. The boss sat on the sofa in the living room and glanced at the laptop on the sofa that I was going to take home. Still have work to do when you go back. I dried my hands and nodded. The supervisor assigned homework. He nodded. You can also ask me if you have any problems. After saying that, he buried his head and tapped a few times on his phone. In a few seconds, the sound of money entering my pocket came from my phone. Me. The daily salary of 1,000 yuan for cooking arrived. I immediately hugged his thigh. Thank you, boss. I don't care whether he was being polite or not. I took it seriously. I am just a bootlicking machine that will shout, "Thank you, boss." Yes. The boss stood up. It's dark. It's not safe for one person. I'll take you home. I was fortunate to ride in the boss's luxury car. After returning home, I turned my envy of the rich into motivation and worked hard. But I didn't expect to encounter a problem so soon. After looking up various materials and writing the report late at night, I felt that I had created a piece of junk. At 2 o'clock, my colleagues should all be asleep. I was also embarrassed to talk to people. I couldn't help but post a circle of friends visible only to myself late at night. I am so bad. I scrolled through my circle of friends again, and liked the daily posts of my friends and colleagues one by one. Then, I found that the boss was still awake. He actually posted a status update at this point. There was only one picture. It was the 3 dishes and 1 soup that he paid me 1,000 yuan to make. It was delicious in color, fragrance and taste. Capitalists are really black-hearted. Posting it neither early nor late, but at 2 o'clock. Posting delicious food late at night. But in the next second, I felt like I had found a savior. Although I was still a bit timid in front of the big boss. But he himself said that if there are difficulties, find him. So after hesitating for a moment, driven by my desire for a prosperous future, I still switched to the chat box and tentatively sent an emoji. Boss, you are so busy. Haven't you slept yet? Yes. The reply was almost instant. He also took the initiative to mention, still writing the analysis? Yes. I was reserved and gave a small compliment. It's my honor to work overtime with the boss. When I was in school, I could never have imagined that I would become a bootlicker who flatters the leader at 2 o'clock in the morning. Send me the analysis. I'll take a look. Me. You are my rebirth mentor. A guiding light. Although I am not confident about my report. But I survived writing my graduation thesis back then. Now that the boss has opened his mouth, I have no reason to back down. So I quickly sent the report to the boss. In less than 5 minutes, the boss sent it back to me. When I opened it, it was actually annotated, concise and clear. After reading it, I felt enlightened and benefited a lot. As expected of the boss, he can do everything. Immediately after, he sent me several internal case analyses of the company for me to study. I sent several emojis expressing my gratitude. Thank you, boss. Leo. Well, keep it up. I was excited and read the case analyses overnight. And then improved my report. Since the boss has given me special tutoring, I have to work harder to be worthy of his guidance. The next day, I went to work full of energy. But as soon as I arrived at the company, someone came to gossip with me. I heard that our big iron tree has bloomed. Huh? What do you mean? I was a bit surprised. Last night, he still said that there wasn't even a person to have a meal with him. Has it bloomed overnight? I heard it was spread by people from the president's office on the top floor. They all have the boss's private WeChat account. When they woke up in the morning, they saw that the boss suddenly posted a photo of home-cooked dishes at 2 o'clock in the middle of the night. In the corner of the photo, there is also a delicate hand. Just looking at the fingernails of that hand, you can tell that it must be a girl. I heard that the boss hasn't posted anything for several years. I don't believe that the boss just posted it casually. It must be to show off his love. Just think about it. What kind of relationship can a girl who cooks and eats at the boss's house in the middle of the night be other than his partner? Everyone is gossiping about who that girl is. Everyone is curious. The boss personally stirs up the topic and feeds us the sugar. I also want to know who it is. Thinking I was a melon-eating person, but actually being the melon myself. Hey, Stella. Do you have any inside information? Me, dare not speak. After working for half a day, the company has a long lunch break. So I went home. Actually, it's a dormitory allocated by the company. A one-bedroom apartment. Not far from the company. After quickly making two bentos at home, I went to the laundry to pick up the boss's shirt. Then I went straight to the top floor of the company. During lunchtime, there weren't as many people on the top floor as there were yesterday. But Secretary Zhu was still there. She was on the phone. When she saw me coming, she pushed open the office door for me and let me go in directly. I entered the door. But I didn't see the boss sitting in front of the desk opposite like last time. The office was empty. No one was there. I looked back at Secretary Zhu. She pointed to the sofa and motioned for me to sit down and wait. Then she closed the door and left. Okay. Actually, I don't really want to sit. I prefer to put down my things and run. After hearing a bit of gossip about the iron tree blooming in the morning, I actually felt a little guilty and afraid. But when I wanted to find a place to put the paper bag containing the shirt, the boss's voice suddenly came from the lounge inside. Stella? Boss? It's me, Stella. I stood up and took 2 steps towards the lounge. From a not too close distance. I brought you the washed shirt. I kept talking without stopping, not giving the boss a chance to speak, hoping to be as decisive as the boss yesterday. Boss, are you going to take a lunch break? Then I'll put your things outside and won't disturb you. I moved quickly. As soon as I put down the bag, I wanted to rush out of the office. But I couldn't resist the speed of the boss speaking. Come in. These 2 words stopped me in my tracks. I turned back dejectedly. Oh. Before entering, I still remembered to knock politely. Then boss. I'm coming in. The moment I opened the door, I was stunned. I shouldn't have trusted him, just because of his handsome face. Back then, when the boss could bring underwear and get on the bus to find me, I should have known that he was not a proper person. Now, he actually let me in like this. Where is morality? Where is the bottom line? And where are the abdominal muscles? Perhaps I was really brainwashed by my colleagues who gossiped back then. I subconsciously went to see how many abdominal muscles the boss had. But in the next second, I became sober. I quickly looked away, backed out of the door, and wanted to close the door I had opened. But the boss didn't give me a chance. Standing in front of the bed, he reached out to me. Where's the clothes? In the end, I still walked into the lounge under the boss's blatant male charm. When I handed him the shirt, I also turned sideways to avoid looking directly at him. The big boss had no concerns. Very flirtatious. Wearing only a pair of home pants. With one hand holding a towel and wiping his half-wet hair, and the other hand taking the paper bag I handed over. And he kept waving it in front of me. Going to the bedside to get something for a while. And going to the closet to get a tie for a while. I didn't close the door of the lounge. It was wide open. He wasn't afraid that someone would come in, see it, and it would have a bad influence. No, I have to leave. Lust is a knife on the head. Mainly being alone in a somewhat closed space with him without a shirt on. I really feel embarrassed. Seeing that he took out that shirt and was about to put it on. I moved towards the door. But after only 2 steps, he asked me with his back turned, "How is the analysis report?" When asked about the work he had just helped me with, I paused in place and mumbled, "I submitted it in the morning." The supervisor was very satisfied. "Thank you for your guidance, boss." My eyes inevitably fell on the boss. I could see the straight and smooth lines on his back slowly being covered by the white shirt. He turned around, his fingers on the buttons, and buttoned them one by one. Then, he walked towards me naturally and his tone was also very ordinary. "I said you were timid. But you still have a lustful heart. If you like to look. Look openly. Anyway. Since we have a relationship where you are responsible for me. Take a few more looks and get used to it. Me. Although I suspected that he was being flirtatious and then blaming me. But when my true nature was directly exposed, I still blushed a little. I couldn't help but be stubborn. Actually, I don't really like looking that much. It's just that the way the boss wears a shirt on top and home pants on the bottom is very unique. I can't help but pay more attention. Leo. Another half a month passed in an orderly manner. The boss and I became more and more familiar meal companions. I don't know if the boss's stomach has been taken care of. But I have gained 5 pounds. Me. But it's also very rewarding. With his intentional or unintentional special tutoring, I have learned a lot. The most important thing is that I have taken advantage of the capitalist. I have already taken more than 10,000 yuan. However, I won't be able to earn the cooking money for the next few days. Because the supervisor is going on a business trip to the neighboring city. The neighboring city is Zhongcheng. My hometown is over there. The supervisor took me with him. So I asked for leave from the boss. Zhongcheng? The boss asked. When? Go tomorrow and come back the day after tomorrow. So I can't cook dinner for you for the next 3 days. Got it. The boss didn't seem to care much. He nodded inferiorly. I happened to be busy too. It was very perfunctory. As if the meals I cooked were dispensable. I, as his meal companion, was not very important either. Alas. There was a little bit of disappointment in my heart. But this negative emotion was quickly kicked to the corner by me. After all, I can go back to my hometown on company expenses. So I became happy and excited again and happily returned to the office. However, unexpectedly, 2 days later at that time, it was just the second day after we arrived in Zhongcheng. After the promotion meeting during the day ended, everyone started the entertainment in the evening. In the end, both the supervisor and my colleague were drunk. I was the only one who didn't drink much. After putting the two of them in the car and asking the driver to help send them to the hotel, I stood on the side of the road and took a taxi. I will go back to the company tomorrow afternoon. For the rest of the time, the supervisor said it could be freely arranged. So I was going to go home. Soon, a luxury car stopped in front of me. Just by looking at its smoothness, it was definitely not cheap. Could it be that luxury cars are now coming out to be like Didi and picking up people? I unlocked my phone and was about to check the license plate number displayed on the taxi hailing app to confirm. Then I saw the rear window of the luxury car slowly roll down, revealing a familiar face. The person was extremely handsome with intense features. Looking up at me. Where are you going? I was stunned for a moment. It was really a bit sudden. Who would have thought that the boss, who said he was busy 2 days ago, would appear on the streets of Zhongcheng late at night? But then came a little happiness. I couldn't figure out the origin of that little bit of joy in my heart. I attributed it all to the fact that seeing a handsome guy would always make me feel better. Why are you here, boss? I bent down and looked into the car. The boss didn't answer. Get in. It was indeed quite cold standing outside. I immediately took the opportunity and opened the door and got in. After canceling the taxi, I greeted Assistant Shu, who was driving in front. I rubbed my somewhat cold hands and couldn't help sighing that being the assistant to a capitalist was really a person of many talents. He had to drive for the boss in the middle of the night. The boss glanced at me, closed the window, turned on the heater, and said to Assistant Shu, "Take her home." "Thank you, boss." I thanked him as usual, and then asked, why did the boss come to Zhongcheng? The boss was immersed in his work at hand and didn't look sideways. My grandma lives in Zhongcheng. I came back to see her. This was the first time I knew this. The boss's grandma is actually from Zhongcheng. Then the rumor before that I have the same surname as the boss's mother should be true. Assistant Shu drove the car all the way quickly, until he slowed down and turned into the street where my house was. Getting closer and closer to my house, I couldn't help exclaiming, "Assistant Shu, You are really amazing. You can find my house even though it's so remote. Assistant Shu gave a dry laugh and glanced at the boss in the rearview mirror. Modestly, not even 1/10,000th as capable as President Shen Han. I got out of the car and leaned against the window and expressed my gratitude to the boss again. Goodbye, boss. I will bring you local specialties. Goodbye, boss. I stepped back to the side of the road to make way for the luxury car. But the car didn't move at all. Then the car door was opened again. The boss got out of the car with his long legs. Assistant Shu directly reversed and parked not far from my doorstep. Me? Really? Could it be that the boss is going to make a home visit? Boss. What are you doing? The boss glanced at me and then walked forward. I'm sure there was still a hint of a smile in his eyes that he didn't completely hide. I hurriedly followed. Countless tricks for dealing with teacher home visits when I was a child flashing through my mind. Then, I watched as the boss stopped at the door next to my house, pushed open the courtyard gate and entered, and was greeted by Grandma Gu, who came running out of the house with a big smile on her face. Grandma. In my memory, when I was just in elementary school, I had a very good-looking playmate. Well, actually, he wasn't really a playmate. He was several years older than me. He had a cold personality. He had just come to our small town from the city during summer vacation. He couldn't play with a little kid like me at all. It was completely because I thought he was extremely handsome and pastored him unilaterally. I took him and integrated him into our kids' play circle. Although most of the time, he just sat aside and watched us chasing and playing. At that time, I always followed him and called him Brother Yu. Now that I think about it, it was completely because I didn't even have an elementary school diploma back then and didn't know many characters. When I saw the character embroidered on his clothes, I directly recognized it as. He came every summer vacation for several years. I took him to catch fish in the shallow stream, catch cicadas on summer nights, catch fireflies. And we also adopted a stray dog. He gradually opened up his heart to me. He would send me home after I got into trouble and speak up for me and take the blame in front of my mom. He would fight with kids who bullied me. He wouldn't say a word but firmly defend me. Until I was in 4th grade. He never came back again. According to Grandma Gu, his strong-willed father didn't allow him to be distracted by playthings anymore and sent him abroad to study. Before he left, he asked Grandma Gu to leave a message for me, saying that he would definitely come back. I was sad for several days, because I really liked him a lot back then. But at my age, I couldn't remember the taste of parting for too long. After summer vacation was over and being suppressed by homework, I gradually forgot. It was so long ago. He has been abroad for so many years and rarely came back. He only returned this year to inherit the family business. After I grew up, there was only melancholy and nostalgia left. How could I have thought that Brother Yu and the boss were actually the same person? Alas. Until I got home, took a shower and lay in bed for a long time, I was still tossing and turning and sighing. So he is not just the boss. He is also the handsome brother who was like a white moonlight when I was a child. How can this end? The next day, I didn't wake up until almost noon, since it was so hard to come back once. During lunch, I had a few more drinks with my dad. I wasn't drunk. I was just a little tipsy. There was a stirring feeling in my heart, a kind of slightly excited feeling. So when the boss came to knock on my door, I, who was originally too timid to show up, immediately agreed to go out with him. At that time, he also brought a dog and invited me. Stella, let's take Hiefeng for a walk, before going back to the company. Hiefeng lay on the ground and looked at me with wet eyes. The boss's beautiful hand landed on his head and stroked his fur. He hasn't seen you for a long time. He must miss you. Hiefeng is the stray puppy that I and Brother Yu adopted together back then. I gave him such a cool name back then by imitating what I saw in TV dramas. Because Grandma Gu is alone, so the puppy has always been kept in Grandma Gu's yard to guard the house and keep her company. Every time I come home from school on vacation, I will play with him. So many years have passed. The dog is already very old. I don't know how much longer he can stay with us. How could I not agree? But when we were walking Hiefeng by the river, we were still silent for a while. In the end, I took the initiative to break the silence. So the boss's profile picture is Hiefeng? The boss chuckled and turned his face to look at me. He said, I was wondering how long it would take you to find out. I pinched my thumb and index finger, and pulled out a small distance to show. Then next time when we play guessing games, boss, please give a little more hint. I will definitely live up to your expectations and find out the truth as soon as possible. Okay. The boss laughed and stopped. Then tell me what's the meaning of my password. I was stunned. Does it mean that we were born on the same day, month and year? Then I felt that it was wrong. The boss is 5 years older than me. So could it be that he still uses my birthday as the password? Huh? No way. Could it be true? I didn't dare to think deeply and stared at him wide-eyed. Does it mean, boss, you set my birthday as your password? I didn't even believe what I said. But the boss didn't answer. He continued to follow Hiefeng and walk on the way home. My excited mood, fueled by alcohol, fluttered slightly. I couldn't help but quickly catch up. Why? Boss. President Shen? Brother Yu? Is what I guessed true? I seem to have become that little kid who loved following behind little Yu again. Reckless and careless. Without fear. Brother Yu. Say something. Brother Yu. If it's true, does it mean that you like me a little bit? So that time at the hot spring villa, you recognized me early? Asking me to cook for you and be responsible. Are you tricking me? Are you trying to make me remember sooner? And in the lounge. Actually, you were deliberately luring me. Right? With the help of alcohol. I dared to say anything. The more I said, the more I couldn't help but be happy and bubbly inside. Somewhat happy. No, extremely happy. I grabbed the boss's sleeve. He finally stopped and turned around to look at me. He was very serious and said to me, Yes, I like you. A little more than I imagined. The warm winter sun wrapped him from behind. Fluffy and warm. So, will you be responsible to the end and be with me? I stood in front of him and looked at him. Then I slowly smiled. I am so happy. It's as if all the wine I drank has turned into happy bubbles, flying everywhere and filling my chest. I feel like I am also about to expand and float up to the sky like soft and sweet clouds. It turns out that I like him too. More than just a little bit. I nodded firmly. Okay. The end.